for this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You know what to expect
Yes, for the most part.
for the most part. Okay. Well, let's get into it then.
Okay.
You're totally ready to rock.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. All right. Welcome, Red Bus Podcast family, to episode 7. Today we have my homie Dylan with us. Dylan is, he's grown up in my neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
And when he was a young little lad, I was a teacher of his in church.
Yeah, back when Tate was like crawling.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when Tate was like an infant. So I've known Dylan for quite some time. He's now a full-blown man. So this is going to be fun because he brings a little bit of youth,
Yeah.
little bit of youth to the episodes, and I'm excited for some of the questions I got for you.
Awesome. I'm
So
excited.
let's jump right into it. Question 1 is always going to be the same going forward from now on. Question 1 is, what was your family life like as a child?
Let's see. So my family life, I had a good childhood. I'm 21 now, so not that long ago. Grew up with 2 older brothers, 4 and 6 years older than me, and then 2 loving parents. My mom's from Wales, and then my dad's from here in this neighborhood. We live in the house he grew up in. And yeah, my, let's see, way back when I was very young, my mom would travel a lot. So a lot of that was, she was obviously there, but a lot of it was like my dad taking me on little field trips and stuff, around to Red Butte Gardens, to different places like that, feeding the koi fish there. And then, as some context, because I'm assuming I'm going to bring this up later, because I can't really talk about my upbringing without talking about it. My dad was diagnosed with cancer when I was 11 years old, colorectal cancer, stage 4, I believe. So that was like a big part of my childhood. And my parents did their best to, they gave us all the information, but they did their best to like make everything seem normal. Especially my mom, she was very good about that. But yeah, my dad also, he said, like one of the hardest things for him was watching other people be sad about his stuff. So he did his best to make everything seem pretty normal. He was, every time, even like going to chemo, he was like, yep, just going to the doctor, just as if he had a runny nose or something,
Yeah.
So, that was a big part of my childhood. Went to school here in this neighborhood, went to Skyline, as a lot of people here did.
Yep.
Classics.
Classic.
Love it.
Well, so what was the phrase that you guys had on your wristbands?
It was rope-a-dope. Rope-a-dope, in it to win it is what my mom thought of that second part. My dad was more the first part, just because it was Muhammad Ali, George Foreman, I believe, Rumble in the Jungle. Muhammad Ali was predicted to lose that one. And his strategy was, he said, I'm going to be like a dope in the ropes. He was going to lean back, block his face, let George tire himself out, hitting his stomach. And he did that. And that was kind of my dad's mentality going into it. And even though he's passed now, I'd say he was successful.
Yeah.
Considering.
What was the initial diagnosis when he first heard like his life expectancy?
let's see, I don't remember an exact time that they gave us. It wasn't long. I mean, it was pretty bleak. It was like a year maybe. Um, but yeah, even when my parents said that it was a year, they were like acted fine. Like they were always positive about it and kept a positive mindset. Um, but yeah, and then he lasted 8 years and a little bit. So that's
Yeah.
8 times
Yeah.
greater.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I remember was that the diagnosis came, and then it like he seemed to just keep fighting it.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, I feel like he always had this positive outlook, and
Mm-hmm.
anytime I'd see him, he was smiling and
Mm-hmm.
trying to like bring happiness to everybody else, which I think is a gift,
Right.
you know, because I believe that a lot of people in that situation would be, you know, woe is me, and he just didn't seem like that.
Right. For a long time as well, I was pretty. I wouldn't say I was necessarily woe is me about it, but I would look at my parents be so positive about it, and I would be a little frustrated because I'm like, I don't know. So I'm studying math in school. I'm a very rational thinker, I would say. And I would be like, these guys aren't realistic about this. Like, there's no way that he can last 8 years, and he did. And I think that I don't know as the years have gone on, I've kind of changed that mentality and kind of been more of the opinion, which is not a new opinion, but the opinion of like you get what you put out, like the kind of energy that you put out and give to other people, and the way you look at the world. You know, there's this movie that I really like called Pi by Darren Aronofsky. It's about this guy that is obsessed with, you know, pi is like this irrational number repeating forever, and he's this like obsessed mathematician trying to find a pattern in pi and find some sort of reason to something that does not have a reason that we know of. And he's got this mentor guy, and the mentor's always giving him little bits of knowledge, and he talks about pattern recognition, where the main character keeps seeing things in the world and keep being like, oh, maybe that's it, maybe that's it. And I think a lot about when my parents would get a new car when we were younger. When they got that new car, I would start noticing other cars that were the same
Mm-hmm.
kind. And you're like, oh, everyone has this car now. Or like, I don't know, we got Harley, our golden doodle.
Right.
And we were like, wow, people have all got golden doodles now. So anyways, pattern recognition, I feel like the more you focus on the positive things, the more your brain will recognize these patterns of positive things. The more you focus on negative things, the more negative things you'll see.
I like that. I think that's actually really powerful. And in terms of health, I actually do believe that a positive outlook plays a role in your health,
Mm-hmm.
you know, in all aspects. And
Mm-hmm.
I would say that played a role in your dad's life for sure. You know, a lot of times I see people that are just really negative and their health seems to struggle.
Mm-hmm.
So I do believe that, like you're saying, putting that energy out
Mm-hmm.
helps, helps whatever the unseen is, you
Yeah,
know,
exactly.
that makes us heal or whatever it may be. But I do believe there's some unseen energies there that we just don't understand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and with health, like, I don't know, I'm not a doctor like Darren, but it's like loads of stress on your body will affect like all your internal organs. You won't sleep as well, which will then in turn ruin your body physically.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah. Insightful thoughts from a young lad over here. just to kick off the
You
show
thought you were
right
getting
out.
the youth.
That's what I thought.
I'm an old soul.
I know,
everyone
it's
says.
crazy. I was like, okay, you're how old now?
Yeah,
Like,
sorry about that. Gotcha.
I should have told you to bring the young you.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. I love that. That was great. Yeah, I love it. All right, let's just move on to the second one. Who would you say is the most influential person in your life and why?
Before filming this, I was thinking all about stuff like that, anticipating. What's Dan gonna say to me?
Yeah.
So that was one that I anticipated, and I would definitely be lying if I didn't say my mom and dad in tandem, because I can't just pick one of them.
Right.
But I mean, the love they have for each other, they were like one unit, or they still are like one unit to me in my eyes. And just the way that they looked at the world, they worked so well together. Because my dad is like, he's like so nice to everybody. Back in high school, he knew everybody. He was a metalhead in junior high. Always kept doing the bass all throughout. Was in different bands. He liked English class, was his favorite. Liked writing. He did theater. He would always recite these like bits of theater that he used to perform. Just seeing pictures of him at the football games, everyone like gravitated towards him, just because he was cool to everybody.
Yeah.
Like,
Well-rounded individual.
Exactly. So, I try to be like that. Yeah, well-rounded as well, just like wanting to learn everything, learn all sorts of things. A big thing about him for me as well, about being well-rounded, is towards the end of his life, I don't remember how the conversation was brought up, but it was brought up that I was like, oh, Dad, I wish you would be better at video games, because I love video games, or like better at those kind of things. And he was like, well, growing up, I didn't want to force my interests and my hobbies onto you. I wanted to see you find your own hobbies, and I experienced joy in watching that. So I just loved that about him. He would always want us to try to do different things. I remember one time in junior high, they were doing Beauty and the Beast for the musical, and he was like, I'll pay you if you try out for it. I'm like, heck yeah. No way I'm going to get in. So I tried out. They let everyone in. So I was stuck doing Beauty and the Beast the whole semester or whatever. Fun experience. I kind of loathed it at the time, but looking back, it makes me smile. So I don't know. I just love that he always pushed us to try everything. Then my mom, like, she's been through so much with my dad, but even her own things, which I don't know how much of that she would want me to share, but like different chronic illnesses and stuff. She's got Crohn's now, which is brutal. Also affected by stress heavily and sleep, which she's seen a lot of, but she's still like the sweetest person ever. But also she'll fight for me, you know?
Yeah.
Like, she'd take someone out for me, and she's capable of it. She's strong.
I do feel like she can be a spitfire when she wants to be.
Oh yeah. I remember moving mattresses up and down the stairs, like if we were switching rooms, and if she was in the back end going forwards and we were in the front going backwards, she wouldn't be able to see us, and we would need a break and like put it down, and she would just keep pushing, not being able to see us, and she's strong.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's good. So if you were to sum up your dad and your mom, maybe in like 2 words each, what would you say? Like what would those words be that would define the way you see them?
Mm.
And that was an off the cuff
I know I didn't
question,
anticipate
so-
this one. Didn't think about this one. Okay. Let's see. My mom, like I said, is a fighter, but she's also a carer. So there's that like duality inside of her. My dad, so many words I could use. I honestly could say carer as well, but more in the sense that my mom was like a physical carer. Dad obviously too, but you know, when you're sick home from school, she's like making you soup and whatnot. Then he's more of a carer. I imagine like a gardener tending to plants and letting nature take its course, but also making sure nothing gets in the way, no weeds get in the way, and that kind of stuff. And he was a thinker too. He something I remember about him. It kind of freaked me out at the time, but it was powerful. When he would like chew me out for doing bad things, he would just, we'd be having it out, yelling, or we wouldn't really yell, but we'd be debating, as you can imagine. And he would just go and then look off into the distance, and he'd be quiet for a sec, and then he would keep talking to you. And at the time, I was like, it would like stop me dead in my tracks. Like, whoa, what is happening right now? But looking back on it, it's like he was definitely someone that chose his words very carefully. So that's something I try to do myself.
I like that. That's powerful. To have that wherewithal to like just pause for a second in kind of a heated debate
Yeah.
is something that very few people possess.
Right.
I know I don't possess that.
Yeah.
I end up putting my foot in my mouth all the time.
Yeah.
So I think that's a great quality.
It's a power move though too.
It is
Like,
kind of.
if you were kind of in like a professional setting,
Yeah.
just hold your finger up.
Yeah. Just a second.
Yeah.
That's wild. I love it. I think when I've asked the question about who's the most influential person so far, I think all the answers have been parents. So I think that just goes to show that there's a lot of power in what parents bring to their kids. So thanks for sharing that. Okay, here's a fun one for you.
Hit
Okay.
me.
If you could see anyone in concert, who would it be? And they can be dead or alive.
Probably Rush.
Rush.
Neil Peart. Alex Lifeson. And Geddy Lee. Neil Peart's passed now, but they were like, and obviously they're not a thing anymore, but they were the gods of their respective instruments in my eyes. And that is something that my dad passed on to me and showed me. More of a, check this out. Like your mind's going to be blown, and it was, and continues to be.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So I listened to Rush a little bit back in high school.
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't say they're my favorite band.
Really? They're not for everyone.
Yeah, I'm more of a Zeppelin guy.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
but do you play guitar?
No, so I started learning how to play guitar like freshman year of high school. Just learned like tabs. Do you play guitar at all?
I used to back in the day, but not anymore.
Tabs, just like pictures pretty much.
Yeah.
So I can read those. And then when my dad passed, I started playing the bass a little more. And I wouldn't really say I play bass because that implies that I play regularly enough and good enough, but I dabble.
You dabble.
You know? Yeah.
I like it. Hey, dabbling is good.
Yeah.
Dabbling is good. I mean, it takes a lot of work to master a craft.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, I sit there all the time and think, man, I would love to play guitar because I love anytime there's a solid song with like a sweet, just solo on the guitar, I'm just like in heaven. And I'm like, man, I would love to be able to play like that. But then I think, how much time that requires
Mm-hmm.
of practice. I'm like,
Right.
nah,
Yeah.
not
yeah,
gonna
yeah.
happen. Not gonna happen.
I envy the kids that grew up being forced to play like piano or something.
Totally.
I wish I could read music.
Yeah.
Maybe later in life. I got time.
Maybe later.
Yes.
That's
I'll probably get
we'll
busy.
see how
won't I?
that works.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll see how that works. All right. This one I'm excited to ask you because again, you're the youngest person on the episode so far. So what would you say are the biggest hurdles in understanding different generational age groups?
Biggest hurdle is being the hurdles being the differences, or the hurdles being like the reason for the differences?
Well, so like I guess an example would be a simple example would be like old timers have a hard time with technology.
Right. Right.
You know
Okay.
what I mean?
Yeah. I would say technology, definitely. I mean, so I work at, Bjorn's Brew on Foothill, the coffee shop there. I work there, and we've been doing the punch card system where you do 10 punches and then get one free drink. And we just switched it to this online point system
Yeah.
literally yesterday. And I was on Window this morning. It was brutal explaining to everyone, like, okay, so there's points, but they're not physical points. And don't worry, I'll convert your punch card 2 points. It's just going to get your phone number. We're not taking your social security information. We're not taking your stuff. You'll still get free coffee every now and then. But yeah, people did not like that. So I would say technology. I would say maybe this opinion may be a little biased, but I would say empathy towards certain situations, like to a certain degree. I would say the older generation doesn't get a lot of the newer stuff. Like, just the way they were raised. Like, there was a lot less, like, I don't know. I feel like cultural diversity was a lot less normal back then. At least I was taught in different history classes and such. And I feel like that could be a reason why. I feel like old people could also just be sick of all the BS. like imagine going to get your coffee, trying to hand in your punch card, and there's some 21-year-old saying, actually, it's these points up in the iCloud. And, like, I would probably lose it, so I don't blame him, honestly. So, but yeah, there's that. You said 3 things.
Well, I mean, it doesn't have to be 3 things, but just,
Okay.
So technology, I think technology is huge.
Yeah.
Even I don't consider myself old by any means,
Yeah.
but I even am finding that some of the newer stuff, I'm like, okay, I got to figure this out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the technology changes so quick. And if you're not actively in it, doing it, you're going to get lost so fast.
Right. Right.
I mean, even just, I would use the example of even just nowadays software not being on disks and downloadable onto your computer.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's cloud-based
Mm-hmm.
and, an annual fee instead of you buy it one time.
Right. Streaming platforms instead of those.
Right.
I was reminded of those zip up
Yeah.
cases of DVDs that we
Yeah.
used to have.
Yep.
I miss those.
So that's actually pretty funny because I've seen some memes on Instagram
Yeah.
that are like, oh, you think phones are causing distracted driving? Remember back in the day, and it was like you had these big
Rifling
CD
through
cases,
everything,
and you're driving, trying to find the
put it in
CD
the
you
thing
want.
behind for your kids.
So that's pretty funny.
That's funny.
And then I do believe culturally the world has shifted a lot.
Yeah.
and the traditional views
Right.
have become not as mainstream.
Right.
So I can see older generations struggling with that for sure.
I feel like, real quick, sorry, I feel like empathy is quite a harsh word to have used. I'd say maybe open-mindedness, because I don't want to make those sweeping generalizations.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe open-mindedness with understanding
Yeah.
the way the youth want the world to work now in the world that the older generation has made for the youth, you know?
Right. Right. It'll be interesting to see how that all plays out in the next 50 years.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when like your generation is growing up with a lot different view of the world even than when I grew up,
Mm-hmm.
and how that's going to transition into, future generations. It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
I probably won't be around for it, but it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah. Maybe I'll be yelling at my baristas. about
Exactly. It won't. Who knows what it'll be at that point, right?
Yeah.
Who knows? Technology changes so quick. Who knows where we're going to be at, in the next couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What are we at time wise? Okay. I'm gonna shuffle these up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna do the speed round first.
Okay.
You ready for the speed round?
Maybe.
First thing that comes to mind.
Okay, we'll see how fast I can read.
There's 8 questions.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Here we go. Sky,
Blue,
forest,
Gump,
ocean,
11,
candy,
Land,
food,
Wars,
drink,
More,
music genre,
Rock,
hobby.
Trains.
I like it.
Yeah.
And you threw me for a loop.
Forrest Gump.
Forrest Gump threw me for a loop.
Yeah. Food Wars. I don't know where that came. Is that a TV show or something? I feel like I've heard it somewhere.
Food Wars?
Yeah, TV
Yeah,
show.
it's like on
video game,
Netflix, I
don't
think,
know.
or something.
Okay.
But you don't watch it. It just
No,
came
my
out
brain
of,
just pulled that out of the
out of the
abyss.
cloud.
Yeah. It's so large. There's so much to pull from.
Oh, okay. All right. What did you say for candy? Oh, you said Candyland.
Candyland, the game, right?
So you were into like movies and physical stuff, like Ocean's 11. Is that what you said?
Yeah, I love movies,
Yeah.
especially recently. I've been getting really into movies. Yeah,
Okay. I love Ocean's 11.
great one.
It's a great movie.
Don Cheadle's accent is terrible, though. I will admit.
Yeah.
His Cockney accent.
Yeah.
I rewatched that recently.
It's been a minute since I've watched that one, but I need to watch it again. I do like those ones. And then hobby was trains. Do you have trains?
No, I've never been into trains. I was just thinking like, I don't know, Toys R Us, like, tutoring toy. I feel like they always have those kind of trains
Okay.
on the logo for those hobby shops.
I like it.
I was thinking of the physical stores where you go to buy little like model trains and
Okay.
yeah.
See, that's one of the things I like about the speed round is that you kind of get a feel for how people's minds work.
Mm-hmm.
You definitely answered the questions way different than I would have ever imagined, but I love it. I love it. All right. What's the most important lesson you've learned from your parents?
Most important lesson, I would say, back to what my dad did about like choosing my words carefully, which I feel like I've started doing more as I've been in college. I mean, this is not related to my parents, but it makes me think of them and realize that I'm becoming them. But like my French class, so I'm majoring in math and French. And French, I mean, I did it first through 12th grade, and it became kind of second nature to me. And then the first class in college for French is this intensive grammar class, and the teacher's really scary. She loves me, and I love her now, but she was really scary. And it kind of like broke me down, where I kind of tried to forget most of what I do know about French, because it turns out that I would rely on my intuition, which was wrong, maybe like 70% of the, or not 70%, like 30% of the time. And then that's kind of bled into just English as well, just like speaking in general. Now I'm a lot slower with how I talk. In high school, everyone used to think I was high all the time. I never was. And I have realized now that, I'm a slow talker.
Yeah.
I'm slow, like choosing my words. And people perceive that as being like not all there, not present. I've had some teachers saying that they would call on me thinking that I wasn't paying attention at all, and then I'd say something super, super insightful.
Yeah.
And on the mark.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like my dad showed me that, and how to try and be accepting to everyone. I always try to hang out with like their nerdy kids. I was in D&D club in high school. Smash Bros
Nice.
team. We had a video game team for that. Just I don't know, hanging out with everyone, or trying to at least treat everyone equally in how I speak to them.
Yeah. Funny you mentioned talking slow. Addie has that problem
Oh yeah.
also. There are days that we'll be like, okay, can you
Come on.
like get to the point already?
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
But I mean, I'll take it if she's using her mind like you are.
I bet she is.
I'm sure she is. She's great. It's just those moments when you're in a hurry and you're like, okay, just like, let's spit it out. Let's get it going, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
But I do think that's a talent, like we talked about earlier, where you don't just spew off whatever is the first thing that comes to your mind,
Mm-hmm.
and you're careful with words you use. And so I think that's pretty powerful. I'm glad you're taking that on and carrying the torch forward with that one.
Thank you.
All right. What is a special meal from your childhood?
Special meal. First one I think of is a full British roast dinner. Got the roast potatoes, roast beef, Yorkshire pudding, which is not a pudding. It's just like a fluffy pastry that you can put the gravy and the stuff in, and then open it, and it all kind of breaks open. Carrots, peas. And then for dessert, my mom would always make chocolate and pear trifle. So layered like a chocolate cake. Angel Delight is like this brand of, that is kind of a pudding-y thing, but not really pudding. I don't know. It's more airy, and whipped cream on top. Oh, pears also in the middle, whipped cream on top, chocolate shaved on top. I personally actually never ate it because I was like, ew, there's pears in here. But just the sight of it is something that's special to me.
Yeah. That sounds delicious.
Yeah.
That sounds delicious.
It's a treat.
And you said there was something else too, right? Did you say there were two things?
Oh, I don't know if I said that, but there were two things. Fish and chips.
Fish and chips.
Right.
Love fish and chips.
Yeah. Salt and vinegar on top.
Salt and vinegar. I don't know about that.
Yeah. That's the only way to do it. With mushy peas. That's an odd one for people here.
Yeah, I don't know about that either.
It's like baby food, but I love it.
I got to share a quick funny story.
Okay.
When we went back to the UK, we stayed out in the Cotswolds in a place for a couple days. And it's not like there's all these restaurants everywhere, right? you go eat at pubs,
Right.
right?
Pub food.
And Kyler was pretty young, and so we go to this pub the first night that we're out there, and like we order food, and he gets his burger and fries, and he was like, "I'm not eating this. I can't eat this." We're like, "Why can't you eat this?" And he's like, "Because it probably has beer in it." Because we were at a pub, he just assumed all the food had beer in it.
Yeah, that's funny.
We're like, "No, it's fine, dude." He's
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, but there's beer everywhere." I said, "No, I'm not going to eat it."
It's contaminated.
It was
Cross-contamination.
a pretty funny story. I don't think I'll ever forget that one. That was good stuff. All right. 2 more, and then I've got the questions from my previous guest.
Okay.
Do you want the more serious one, or do you want the fun one first?
Let's do serious because I'm assuming the guest ones were
The guest has
serious-ish.
No, the guest has.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, let's do serious and then we'll do fun.
Okay, serious.
Work now, play later.
Okay. What's one thing that you hope you are wrong about?
There's a lot of things I know I'm wrong about, or I know that I don't know. But I would say one of them is probably, I don't know, religion and the afterlife type thing. I would consider myself agnostic, which is, I was explaining to someone agnostic the other day, and I said it's kind of cheating because you won't be wrong because you're like, well, there could be a God, there might not be a God. It's like, choose one, you know?
Yeah.
And then along with that, with the afterlife, I feel like some bigger purpose would be nice. I don't know if my brain is necessarily believes that, but it's something I want to believe is like a kind of like a safety response type thing. So I don't know. I would choose that because I don't think my brain necessarily believes that. So that's something I want to be wrong about.
You want there to be a bigger purpose.
Right, exactly. Or just something greater than us.
Yeah.
Yeah, which, I mean, I was raised LDS. And,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, I get into deep thoughts sometimes.
Yeah.
About those exact things. Because it really is, life is pretty wild when you think about it. You know, just the whole cycle of life and trying to figure out what the purpose is. So I go down those rabbit holes sometimes also.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's, you know, it's just, there's just not an actual answer that
Right.
can be like, this is the answer,
Right.
you know? Not yet.
Yeah.
So I'll take your answer.
Okay.
I hope you're wrong also.
Thank you.
On that front. All right. What do you think is on the other side of a black hole?
I get those YouTube shorts.
Yeah.
Neil deGrasse Tyson a lot. So I'm trying to remember if he said anything about those.
Well, I mean, aren't black holes like a mathematical thing too? I mean, that's kind of what you're in, right?
Yeah. I'm not a huge physics fan, oddly enough. I'm in a physics class right now, and I hate it. I just like the numbers. But let's see. I know the black hole goes infinitely to the event horizon. It's like singularity. And on the other side, I don't know. I would like to think of it as like an Einstein-Rosen bridge type thing, where it's kind of a passageway into a different, like another black hole, like
So like another realm or what?
not another realm, but maybe like another spot in the universe, kind of like how they do that demonstration. I think they've done it in, I don't know, Interstellar or some movies like that, where they fold the paper in half and they poke a pencil through the paper.
Okay.
And then they unfold the paper. They're like, this is an Einstein-Rosen bridge. And then they unfold the paper, and there's 2 points.
So you go in one
So it's
point, you
like-
come out the other?
Yeah, it's like a black hole folds space and time.
Mm.
And then you go, and then,
So it's like some sort of transporting
yeah, I don't know.
tube or something.
Not that you'd make it that far.
Yeah.
Obviously, but yeah,
Interesting.
I'd like that. I think it's cool.
That is cool. I had never really thought too much about black holes, but I think my kids brought that question up. We were talking about questions to ask
That's a
on
good
the
one.
podcast. So
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go with it.
Okay.
I'll go
Awesome.
with that. I accept your answer.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right, so Luna, who is my last guest, that her episode is airing tomorrow.
Okay.
Well, by the time this airs, it'll be like 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
But she asked, I'm going to ask her second question first. If you could talk to dogs, what question would you ask the first dog you met?
I'd have a lot of questions. I love dogs, and I wish for them to be able to talk every day. I would ask them about their emotions. I want to know, I want to know, what kind of thoughts they have. And I don't know how I would form that in a question. I can't just say, can you think, I don't know. I just want to know how they perceive the world. And I turn PBS Kids on for my dog Eddie when I leave, and it seems like he pays no mind to it. So I want to know if he maybe that's what I'd do. First question, first dog I would see, I would wake up and see Eddie and say, hey, do you like PBS Kids? And then how he responded would help me piece everything else together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's funny. You like PBS Kids.
Yeah. And then hopefully we would keep talking, obviously.
And have a deep conversation.
Yeah. Put him on the pod.
Yeah, there you go. I like it. All right. Final question. I saved this one for last. It's a Luna question, but I did save it for last because you had mentioned movies earlier.
Mm-hmm.
What is one movie that you relate to?
I relate to different movies for different reasons. I like Good Will Hunting a lot because he does math and he's good at math. But I also relate to, there's this one called Patterson, and it's with Adam Driver, and he plays this he's literally just a bus driver that likes poetry, and it just shows his day-to-day life. Kind of mundane, but there's a beauty to it, I think. He goes and drives his bus every day and goes home to his wife, has a conversation with his wife, has dinner, walks his dog. I want to say his dog's name's Rufus or something, little pug thing, or bulldog. Walks his dog every day, stops at the bar, leaves the dog outside, hangs out with the bar people. Yeah, that's one of my favorite movies. It's a little boring, I will admit, because it is just kind of slice of life stuff, but I love the vibes of it. I also do love poetry, so I relate to that, and I just love his attitude and his outlook and how he dresses, and he's a bus driver that lives in this town that he grew up in his whole life, or he grew up in, he's lived there his whole life, and he loves his town and loves his life.
So does he recite poetry throughout the?
So he writes poetry.
Okay.
And then there's this one guy, I can't remember what his name is, but there's this one poet that really loves. He recites some of that poetry, but mainly when he's writing the poetry, it'll show scenes of him like driving his bus, and then I think it has the words like written out as he's reading them off, and it repeats it a couple times because he starts writing it, stops for his shift or something, goes on lunch break, keeps writing it, but he starts from the beginning. So you hear the same couple poems over and over again, but they're just, the first one's about, they're called blue tip matches, I believe. It's just this box of matches that he carries around, and he writes a poem about it. Just the way they look and the way the logo looks. The logo is kind of triangular, megaphone shaped, and he says they're shaped like that as if to exclaim blue tip matches. And I just I don't know, I love trying to look at the world like that. Something I'd like to get better at and try and refine.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of beauty that we miss just in our day-to-day life by not stopping and taking it in. It reminds me of this guy, I can't remember his name. I follow him on YouTube. He's like an American, and he moved to France. And he talks a little bit about the transition and stuff. And there was this one episode where he had been out and about and was videoing with his camera, with his phone, right? Like so many of us do, videoing an event or whatever. And afterwards, he realized that while videoing, he's missing the actual beauty of the moment. And so he started instead putting his phone on like voice memo in those moments and just getting the audio while taking in the moment. And then when he goes back and listens to that audio, he can relive that moment in his mind.
I love that.
And so I've actually started doing that a little bit here and there.
Yeah.
And it's actually pretty fascinating.
Yeah. Wow. I like that a lot, actually. I might start doing that.
It's pretty wild that if you really are like focused in on the moment while you're recording, that it plays back as good as any video you would take, but you actually got to enjoy the moment.
Right.
I think that's something that like you, I try to do more of. I love, I love to look at the sky when the clouds are out and the light is hitting them just right and whatnot. Enjoy this place called home, right? So the two movies you really like, Good Will Hunting and Patterson, you said.
Patterson. Yeah.
Patterson.
His name's Patterson, and I think the town he's from is called Patterson also. So
Perfect.
yeah.
Perfect. So if Red Bus Podcast Family wants to watch a movie that deals with poetry,
Yep. Slice of life.
and can be a little bit boring,
yeah. But don't let that
but
put
don't
you
let
off.
it
Just
scare
kinda
you.
take
Just
it in
it's more of a mellow movie.
Right.
Just kind of sit back and just really
There's
enjoy
no
it.
explosions and
Yeah.
stuff.
I'm gonna check that one out
Yeah.
myself. I never heard of it, so I'll check that one out. But I appreciate you being on the episode.
I appreciate you having me. This has been fun.
Dylan was gracious enough to send me a message after my first or second episode. I can't remember. And it took me by surprise that you had reached out to me and thought that what I was trying to do here was cool. And so I figured, if you thought it was cool.
Yeah, I
let's
know.
get
I
you
love
on
this kind
here.
of stuff. This is right up my alley.
So, again, thank you for being on.
Of course.
And till next time, we out. Peace.